Good morning, all. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to attend today's free webinar, How to Create and Deliver Board Papers in Only 2 Hours, not 2 days. My name is Grant Levac. I am your presenter for today's session. So over the course of the next 45 to 60 minutes or so, we're going to discover some of the ways in which you are currently creating and disseminating important information to your board members, namely their board papers, and look at how you can leverage online technology, namely board portals, or more commonly referred to these days as board management solutions, board management software, to streamline the work of your board, create massive efficiencies for your role if you're in a support capacity or senior management, and really help your nonprofit organization make that transition away from a reliance on paper-based approaches to more of a secure and readily accessible paperless, pain-free paperless approach. So today's webinar will include a live real-time demonstration of the popular BoardEffect board management solution, and in particular, how you can use the platform to quickly and easily create and deliver those board papers to your board in as little as 2 hours. Now, I know there's a couple of you in the room that are actually already using BoardEffect, which is great, and you've recently moved across to the upgraded platform, so today will serve as a good introduction for you guys in seeing how the new functionality will streamline your production times. So let us begin. And to do that, actually, before we get underway, I'll just offer a quick bit of housekeeping, bit of an orientation for you. Before we, if you're new to GoToWebinar, you haven't attended a webinar via this platform before, there are a number of ways that you can interact during today's session. If you're listening in to the audio on your computer's microphone and speakers and you're having trouble hearing the audio, you can switch over to the telephone option. You'll be prompted to dial into some landline numbers. If you have a question or a technical issue that you'd like me to address during today's webinar, just click on the raised hand icon. That will alert me to the fact that you do have a question, and then feel free to just simply type in your comments or questions into the questions panel at the bottom of the screen. You might want to give it a quick go now if you like, and let me know where it is from around the country you're joining today's webinar from. Where do you hail from? So whilst you're doing that, I'll let you know that we will be conducting a couple of polls in today's webinar as well. So a couple of interactive polls, and I do ask that you do participate and join in on the fun. So a couple of people have come through. They're testing the raised hand icons, which is great. We've got Joe joining us from Sydney, Madeline from Sydney, Leslie from Canberra, Ashley from Darwin. Well, welcome. You're up early. Well, maybe not so early, but thank you for joining us from your side of the world. We have Susan from Maitland, Lisa from Barker College. Welcome, Lisa. And Ted from, looks like, Sydney, Jeffrey from Sydney. So we've got quite a few in the room today, which is great. So let us have a look. Actually, before I do that, let us see. Just going to adjust the settings on my end here so I can get us underway. Just bear with me one sec there. Okay, there we go. Apologies for that, folks. Just adjusting some of my settings. So just to come back to that housekeeping slide there. Whoops, moving forward a little bit too quickly. So we've got quite a few interesting mix of geography in the room for us today, which is good. A reminder too that today's webinar is being recorded, so if any of your key staff or colleagues have been unable to attend, they can most certainly, you can share this webinar recording with them tomorrow, as you'll receive a copy of it via email. And if you think they might find value in the content, I certainly encourage you to share the recording with them. Finally, if at any point you need to minimize your GoToWebinar control panel to the side of screen, the little arrow in the orange box will just pop it to the side of screen. Just be sure to bring it back into view if you wish to submit any comments or questions throughout the session. So just keep that in mind. Alrighty then, so let us soldier on in. And for those of you in the room today that don't know who we are and what we do at the Matrix on Board Group, we've been supporting non-profit organisations around Australia since 1997, and really do believe that you're not only a strong and successful nonprofits essential to a just society, but that many of them can find it difficult or struggle with the business side of their organization. So via our various divisions, which you can see on screen, we essentially provide capacity building services, financial management services, training and development, and a suite of online tools like BoardEffect, which we're the Australian provider of, so that our non-profit clients have clearer plans, stronger finances, and increased capacities to achieve their missions. And my role as senior consultant for the online services division is to essentially work with our clients to help them determine the best approach to adopting a board management solution like BoardEffect, ensuring a smooth transition from the initial review and procurement process through to the implementation phase, all the way through to the back end of user training and the delivery of ongoing support. But enough about me. I'm interested to learn who you are and the role that you play at your nonprofit organization. So right off the bat here, I thought what we might do is do a bit of intelligence gathering. I'm going to launch a couple of quick interactive polls in succession to get a bit of a better feel for who you are, why you're here, what you're currently doing with respect to your governance processes, and how you're doing it. So please do join in on the fun and participate. And I also ask these questions, obviously, because I want to learn who my audience is, but also I'm keen to discover how much time and effort you're putting into your current board meeting preparation and highlight ways in which online technology can create some efficiencies for you, not only you, but your board members and specific to your role. So let us launch our first poll of the day, and you should see a question appear on screen for you. It will ask you, select one of the following. Who are you? Are you a board member, senior management, support staff, or are you in an IT role or some other capacity? So let us keep the poll open for a second longer. Looks like everyone in the room has almost responded, so thank you to those of you who have cast your response. Let's close the results of the poll and I'll share them with you on screen. So it looks like we have 60% of our audience today is in a senior management role, and no doubt you guys are heavily involved in the production process of preparing and disseminating that important information to your board members. 20% in IT role and 20% in the board member capacity. So good to see we've got an interesting mix, and it's actually great that the majority of you are in a senior management role, because I can kind of tailor the live demonstration component of this webinar a little bit more to your role and the part that you play in the creation and delivery of your board's important information. So let's hide the results of that poll, and we'll move on to our next question, which is, why are you here today? What is it that has prompted you to attend today's webinar? So think about, what are some of the challenges that you're currently faced with that you're wanting to overcome? Give you a couple of examples if you're coming up with blanks. Are you wanting to learn how your board can move away from its reliance on paper-based meetings as a means of monitoring business intelligence and make better informed decisions through the delivery of timely information? Do you currently find yourself spending far too much more time than you wish preparing, printing, binding, and delivering those heavy hard copy papers to your board, and you're wanting to devote more of your time to higher value work? Or maybe you're concerned with the level of security involved in sending your board's important information like their board papers via email as huge PDF documents. Email, not the most secure way to send sensitive information. Or perhaps you're just wanting to learn a little bit more about the benefits online solutions can offer your nonprofit and help streamline board work. So it looks like a couple of comments have come through. Ted's wanting to look at ways in which his board can adopt a more secure and timely approach to receiving, I presume that says papers. Another one's come in, how we can increase the security of board and organizational documents, enhance decision making by moving away from hard copy, again, papers. Consider the use of tablets in the boardroom. That's an interesting one. Thanks for the comments there. And let's see, Leslie says to improve efficiency. Actually, let me just undock that question so I can see the full comment there that has come up. To improve efficiency of reporting to the board and move to electronic solutions, Peter indicates eliminate the use of paper. So we've got a large selection of reasons why you guys are in the room today, which is wonderful. So many thanks to you that have provided some comments there. Again, nice and interesting mix of reasons why you're all here. And the good news is that we'll be able to address the majority of them in today's webinar. But let's focus on that last reason, or one of the primary reasons, is cutting down board meeting preparation time. And to do that, let's just quickly examine how much time you're in fact currently spending preparing that important information for your board. How long does it currently take you to prepare and disseminate your board papers? Is it a couple of hours? Is it half a day? Are you finding that it's a full day, or is it more than 2 days? So let us launch now the second poll for today, and you'll see that on screen. And take a couple of seconds to review. Let me know how long it's currently taking you to prepare and disseminate that important information to your board. So it looks like the majority of you in the room have cast your response. So let us close off on the poll, and I'll share the results with you on screen. Overwhelming majority say it's a full day. It takes us a good 8 hours to prepare and disseminate that information to the board. And that may not be looking at the amount of time that you spend preparing the reports. That could be separate or it could be combined. But that's a good 8 hours that if your board meets monthly, that's a day a month that you're 12 days a year. Think of the labor costs and the printing costs that go into that. So I'm hopeful that I'm going to show you ways that we can trim that down from a day to only a couple of hours. And for a few of you, it's already down to that prep time, which is great. Let me hide the results of that poll with you. And just have to think about it as well. Think about how much more informed your board would be by having significantly greater access to that timely information. If it gets out to them much faster, my guess is your board would be a little bit more engaged in the stewardship of your nonprofit's mission and more interactive in its governance role. So we can really reduce that production time down significantly. All right, our final poll before we get into some good theory and then practical stuff is, how do your board members currently receive their papers? So let us share the last poll there on screen. How do you currently get that information out to your decision makers? Is it in hard copy format? Do you do it primarily via email as a PDF or multiple attachments? Do you go with a hybrid approach, a combination of hard copy and email? Do you currently use some sort of internal intranet, maybe a board members only area of your website, or are you utilizing some sort of file hosting service, the popular Dropboxes and Google Drives of the world, for secure access to that information? So it looks like, again, everyone has cast their response. Let's close the poll and share the results on screen. Overwhelmingly, email, PDF is the winner in this respect. And email, I have to say, not the most secure way of sending sensitive information like your board papers. What if you send it to the wrong recipient? Or if a board member has a very deep email inbox and they have to trove through the archives to try and find the papers, and then they can't find it, so they request duplicates to be sent to them. It can create a whole lot of headaches when it doesn't necessarily need to. So what's the best approach? Thank you for you all for providing your responses there as well. And I'm going to build on those responses a little bit later on in this session. So moving on from that, what is the best approach? Is one way more effective than the other? Well, they all certainly have their pros and cons. Maybe it is that your board is a little bit more old school and they just simply like receiving their hard copy papers, putting pen to paper as part of their preparation process. So if you're in that senior management role and you've got the time and patience to prepare, print, bind, deliver, courier those clunky old hard copies, why would you change a good thing, right? So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, my guess is that you could better spend that 8 hours or that full day that you're currently investing elsewhere on higher value work, rather than all those hours compiling, collating all that information, and then waiting at the 11th 11th hour for reports to make the final cut. So if that's the case, maybe you've considered, or you're already using, like the majority of you are overwhelmingly, the power of the PDF, and you're sending that information to your board via email. But as I mentioned before, what if you're sending it to the wrong person, or your PDF document is simply too large to send via email in the first place, so you have to break it down into multiple attachments, or it takes forever to be received on the other end. I know I'm not necessarily comfortable with receiving, financial or highly confidential information via email. I certainly prefer to use file hosting services. And that's where you might think about using, as 17% of you that responded to that poll, using some sort of internal intranet, leveraging the cloud of your existing website possibly to build and maintain a secure board members only area. Very, very popular way of doing it. The only problem is that you then need to have someone build and or maintain that intranet yourself, manage the back end. What happens when your IT department or internal intranet administrator moves on? Have you got someone else ready to take over the ongoing management of that solution, and the ongoing security upgrades as well, to make sure it is safe and your data is protected? Or maybe you're a small nonprofit and you simply don't have the resources, an IT personnel to manage that for you. You just don't have the time and resources. So if that's a real risk for you, maybe you're best suited to the myriad of the cloud-based file hosting solutions that are out there. Those Google Drives and the Dropboxes and the Microsoft OneDrives of the world. All really popular, fairly reliable and relatively affordable solutions. I know that we use Google Drive extensively at Matrix On Board. I'm a big fan of it. I use it for personal use at home as well. The fact that you can get 15 gigs free storage off the bat is a nice plus. You don't need to pay for that, of course. But if you've got a lot more data than that, exceed the 15 gigs, then you start paying for what you use. And Google Drive is great, but it can take a bit of tweaking to get it to where you want it to be. So, surely there's a better way of doing things. There's got to be another approach that will yield greater results for you while allowing you to make better use of your time and your resources. And that's where, before I reveal that approach, I think it's probably helpful to take a quick moment to recall, the environment that we're all kind of working in. We're seeing that over the last 15 years, the pressure on boards has increased dramatically. The job of a board member now is radically different than it was a decade ago. We're finding increasingly stringent legislation and outcry from stakeholders has combined to produce this kind of atmosphere of scrutiny that requires boards to operate with new levels of transparency and personal as well as group accountability. And meanwhile, all of this additional pressure is happening when resources are drying up. Every organization is being asked to do more with less. The bottom line is that boards and staff are seeking tools to help them meet this complex set of demands. And so usually when this type of environment exists, people tend to turn to technology for potential solutions. And this is where the concept of a board portal or a board management platform comes in, helping organizations attain higher levels of board performance to meet those increasing demands, as well as ensure ongoing compliance. And there was a gentleman who was first introduced by a gentleman by the name of Richard Chait and his colleagues in a great book he authored called Governance as Leadership, where he introduces the notion that the highest performing boards tend to operate in three distinct modes of governance. The first being the one that most folks will know in the room, the fiduciary mode, where the board is concerned with oversight, really ensuring the organization has the resources necessary to carry out its mission, and that those resources are being stewarded appropriately. And for many, this is sadly where the understanding of a board's role begins and ends, but there is so much more to this story. The board can also operate in what we call the strategic and the generative modes. So whereas the board is helping the organization chart a course, set strategic priorities, and obviously determine what direction to avoid. Whereas in the generative mode, the board's really serving in the role of sense maker, deciding what to decide. Rather than just selecting from predetermined options, the board really has the opportunity to create its own menu. So clearly the strategic and generative modes are much more demanding. They require more engagement from board members, as well as a deeper level of understanding of the organization and its operating environment and the industry, obviously. But that's why they are so important for us to keep in mind, because to be truly successful, we have to ensure that a board management platform like BoardEffect allows the board to operate successfully in all three of these modes. And, clearly helping the board perform its fiduciary role is really the easiest box to check. What we're talking about here is providing secure real-time access to documents, reports, meeting materials, board papers, committee papers, dashboards, and the like. That's kind of a simple task. So while that's what we're going to focus on in today's demonstration, that quick and easy creation and delivery of timely information, like your board papers, a good board management solution or software doesn't rest with just meeting this goal. It also helps boards work successfully in those strategic and generative modes, where we're really kind of working to ensure that the board not only has the documents it needs to prepare for meetings, but also the tools needed to help them make good decisions. So we're talking about access to research, the ability to collaborate, the ability to create working groups on the fly and discuss important topics or critical issues, the flexibility to change the order and priority of agenda topics. The idea is to really provide a set of robust features that allow boards to be truly nimble. And so at Matrix On Board, and we're coming up on the demonstration component in a second, but what we do at Matrix when we approach a new implementation or we engage in discussions with a new organization, we kind of keep firmly in mind these 4 key stakeholder groups you can see on screen. Each one offers a significant and unique perspective into what would make board management software successful for them. And so as we go through these stakeholder personas in brief, you may find that they actually ring very true for your role. And obviously one of the most important stakeholders for us is the primary board liaison. This could be the CEO's assistant or the board secretary, or in some cases the CEO themselves, or perhaps another governance professional. Typically, this person is the one that would serve as the primary administrator of any board management software, but they don't want to spend 80 hours a week getting ready for each board meeting. So to be successful from this perspective, we have to ensure that any system is going to be user-friendly and builds efficiency, is not going to be adding work to his or her plate. So then we look at the CIO or the head of the IT department is often asked to weigh in on decisions around any software package being considered for use by the board. And definitely this is true in the case of board management software. IT has to ensure that the software not only has top-flight data security and solid technology, it also has to be something that the board and staff can use relatively easy, has to be user-friendly, and has to come with sufficient training and support to then ensure that the new software doesn't become a burden or a new line item on the IT director's job description. They don't want to be adding to their work as well. Whereas majority of you in the room, in that senior management role, the CEO is really typically looking for tools that can best help the board focus on the issues that matter the most. Any system cannot become a distraction, but rather it should help everyone to stay on track. And certainly from the board's perspective, the system should help board members, help directors leverage their time and talents appropriately. I haven't met a board member yet that joins a board because they love attending meetings. Board members are wanting to generally want their skills and their time to be used wisely. They want to be able to add value for the organizations that they serve. So for any system to be adopted fully by a board, it has to not only help build efficiency for directors, but also help them find ways to add value in their service to the organization. So that kind of brings us to the solution focus of today's webinar, the BoardEffect Board Management Platform. Used by more than 2,500 boards across the globe, representing more than 75,000 board members. And that includes, I think, more than close to 60 Australian organizations that we support directly at Matrix On Board. And now, again, we refer to BoardEffect as a board management platform because it's designed to help board and staff, senior management and support staff, partner in the management of governance workflow processes. And so for us at Matrix, the primary goal is to provide these tools and services that help nonprofit organizations or boards elevate board performance and by extension elevate organizational performance. So on that note, let me now offer you a real-time introduction to the BoardEffect board management platform, and through two separate set of lenses, show you how all of you in the room as senior managers can significantly improve, streamline, and automate the creation and delivery of important information like board papers to your board. And the second lens being from your board members' perspective, how your board members can quickly, easily, and securely access their papers the very second that they've been built, been published in the system, and not have to worry about waiting for a massive file-sized email to get through them, or multiple attachments on one email, or attachments in separate emails when there's a new report that's been added to the papers at the 11th hour. So to get the demonstration under the way, and I know a few of you have questions, so I'm just going to park those for a bit of Q&A a little later on. I'm going to jump on over to Google Chrome. The nice thing about BoardEffect is that you can use the platform with any web browser. I prefer to use Google Chrome, but you can use Internet Explorer, Safari, Firefox, some of the lesser known ones, Opera. It's compatible with all of them. So I'm going to log in as an administrator now. And just so you know, typically in the domain name or the address bar, this would be the name of your organization or an acronym, .boardeffect.com, or it could be .com.au. Regardless, all of your data is hosted within Australia. We use BoardEffect's hosting partner is Rackspace Australia. Their data center is located in Sydney. You don't need to enter in the customary www or anything like that. It's a secure connection. The padlock represents SSL encryption, so all of your data is well and truly protected. None of your content's discoverable on search engines or anything like that. You'll know you're in the right place because your platform is branded with your logo. Each of your board members, users have their own user-defined login and password, which they're going to be prompted to change the first time they log in anyway. And standard password recovery tools exist as well. If you forget your password, particularly if your board members aren't logging in every day, they can reset it via email. Help and support contact information is accessible from this point as well. So let me log into the BoardEffect platform, and I'm going to show you a real-time demonstration of how you can quickly and easily create your board papers in as little as 2 hours, not that full day that you might be committing to at the moment. So what you can see on screen at the moment, we've landed on what we call the dashboard, the landing page where you can relay a lot of great information to your board members from the very second that they log into the platform. Everything from the ability to customize a welcome message, and it tells your board members when it was last updated. This could be a great opportunity for your chairperson to relay some personalized comments or welcome to your board. You have the ability on the right of screen to create and share news items, have a bit of an active news feed for your board members when they log in. So they will actually see news items, and if I want to click on a news item, just clicking on the link reveals that item, and away we go. It is an active news feed. So depending on the left of screen here, you can see we have a selection of workrooms available to us in BoardEffect. So depending on what workrooms your users or your board members have been assigned to, it will accurately reflect or display their news feed. It will only display news items for the workrooms they've been assigned to. If I'm not on the board of directors, but I'm on the governance committee, I'll log in and have access to the governance committee, but I won't even know that the board of directors workroom exists. Your users will only be privy to the areas of the platform you want them to access. Some other things you can see quite quickly. We have an area called Browse Files, so we can access great historical content. You can use BoardEffect to store all of your important historical information, board, committee, or wider organizational info, whether it be financials, policies, procedures, conflict of interest registers, strat planning, your constitution, your whatever you want to keep in a paperless filing cabinet, the one centralized online repository, you can. Directory is accessible. As an administrator, you can adjust back-end settings as well. You can do some great things. So what I'm going to do, and you can see underneath we've got upcoming events, so we'll give your board members a snapshot of events that they're associated with, and if they want to respond to meeting invites that they receive, so you as the senior managers and your support staff can know well and truly in advance of a meeting who's planning to be in attendance, who's planning to be absent, you can capture that information in BoardEffect. If we scroll on down, you can utilize polls or surveys functionality to maybe, pass motions or circular resolutions, or perhaps you have a proposed meeting minutes document or agenda that you want your board to review and approve. That can be done securely within BoardEffect. Similarly, surveys can be used to facilitate your whole of board evaluations or your individualized board member self-assessments. So you've got some great collaborative tools at your disposal in BoardEffect as well. But for the example we're looking at today, we're going to go in, we're focusing on the fiduciary mode of governance, where we're just giving that secure real-time access to timely information. Let's go into the Board of Directors workroom. It's a private working space for our board to access all of their important information in private. We're not going to have a look at events or the collaborative tools. We're going to focus on workroom files. So we can see we've got a couple of options here. We've got some visible meeting books or board papers already for the August meeting, past date July meeting. If I want to have a look at archived information, that can all be stored within the platform as well. We can create board manuals, handbooks. We can, upload other files that we want to be sitting in our repository, our filing cabinet. What we're going to do is create a new meeting book, a new board paper, by clicking New Book. I'm going to give this meeting book a title. I'm just going to say Board Meeting Papers, or let's just call it, you can choose whatever naming convention is going to be appropriate for you, 2015. If I want to adjust some advanced settings, I can disable printing for security. I can give board members access to original files I upload, or password protect the book as well. If I've got my meeting book, my papers already sitting in one single PDF document, you can just upload that into BoardEffect directly, and it will preserve any bookmarks that you created in the original document. But I'm going to work on the assumption that you have a lot of different documents that make up your board papers: Word, PowerPoint, Excel, PDF. It's not just one document. So we're going to upload multiple documents in BoardEffect. I can choose a template, which I'm going to do. I'm going to select a preset template that I've created previously, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Now I can tell BoardEffect what settings I want, what do I want to appear in the finished product. I'm going to generate a cover page. BoardEffect's going to do that for me. So I'm going to enter in some very basic information here just quickly. Let's just call this September 2015. I can select the date. We know that the meeting is at the end of the month in September. I know that it is at 9 a.m. in the morning. And I can just put in some additional information. Now it's seen this information before, so it's autofill is available for me to use. Whoops, Castlereagh. The old fingers are a bit clunky today. 2000. If I want to edit the font styling, the kind of look and feel of what my cover page is going to look like, I can change the font, the color, the size of the font, etc. Got the ability to adjust some settings there as well. I can even add my organizational logo or a much higher resolution print logo so that it appears on the cover page as well. I can now have BoardEffect create an online agenda for me, and then automatically create the agenda document in the finished set of papers. I'm going to tick that box. I'm going to call this meeting agenda, and I want page numbering to be added to every source document I'm adding into BoardEffect. It's going to save you guys having to add page numbers to all of your original documents. Whilst you don't have a frame of reference for what this looks like below at the moment, you will in a second. You can determine where you want the page number to appear for each file you upload. You can also turn on or off what information you want to appear on your agenda document, whether you want timing information, locked down against agenda items, action items, presenter details as well. And if you want to edit the font styling, what we call the font styling, you can adjust some dynamic font settings for the look and feel of your agenda. You can. So for the meeting title, maybe I might make this large. I'm going to bold that information, maybe bold the agenda title, maybe medium. Action items I want to highlight for the board's view in red, maybe file, I'll italicize. I can even automatically add page numbering against all, or not page numbering, but automatically number my agenda categories as well. I might bold one other option there. So I'm just playing around with the settings for you, but you can kind of tweak and customize the agenda for best fit. I'm going to click Save. I've now saved all of those settings. I'm going to click Save and Continue. And watch what happens. BoardEffect has now preloaded all of my template agenda categories. I know that each meeting, we pretty much have the same information on each agenda. Minutes from previous meetings, CEO report, committee reports, and I've got some subcategories included. Financial reports, meeting close. Now, this is obviously nowhere near reflective of what your agendas may look like, but it's just a very quick example for you. If you need to customize your agenda at this point, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. We can add a new category, call it general business. I can add some timings against the agenda items. I know that's going to be at the back end of the session, 11 a.m. The chair is the presenter for discussion, or if there's a vote or an action item, we can include that in the notation information as well. I can click save, and it just drops that category at the bottom of the list. If I want to reprioritize, move around any of my categories, I can just by dragging and dropping these hamburger patties, these kind of horizontal lines that appear on screen. Or if I need to delete a category, I can quickly and easily do that as well. So if I wanted to go through individually and lay down some timing information against these agenda items, I can just rename that category, or I can say, okay, it appears it happens at 9 a.m. Our CEO report is directly after that at 9:10, and so on. You get the picture of how easy it is to kind of customize and tweak your agenda items for best fit. Let's say the old CEO report goes for a while, so 10 a.m. So once you've got this architecture in place, you've got some presets in there for your cover page and agenda settings. You've added all of your agenda categories. Again, you can use those from a template, so you don't have to create them from scratch every single time. It's very, very easy to now add all of the documents into the meeting book. It's as simple as selecting them from your computer, uploading them individually, or simply dragging and dropping them from your hard drive or your server into the space, and voila, BoardEffect does everything for you. CEO report, and these are just dummy documents, obviously, for the sake of today's demonstration. We can throw in our committee reports. Maybe we've got a audit, finance, and risk committee report, which I'll drop in. We've got a governance committee report, and you can see I'm uploading different types of documents as well. It can be any type of document: Word, PowerPoint, PDF, Excel, no restriction. BoardEffect will take them all and convert them all into one finished product for you. I'm just going to drop those in. So you can see it uploads them quite quickly and easily. You can upload up to 10 documents in one go, and you can see it's assuming the title of this document as the file name. So if I want to go in and remove that little extension .pdf, I can do that if it's appropriate, and add some commentary down against it. So once you've done that, once you've uploaded all of those documents that you've got sitting on your server or hard drive in soft copy format, it's a really simple process. It's as easy as now building the book. Clicking Build Book will take all of these documents and convert them into one finished product PDF document. And you can see, I'm going to go into, there it is. So it's now built that book. I've got the ability to go back into an edit environment. If I need to add an 11th hour document, I most certainly can. And I can actually now preview, just move my question panel out of the way here. I can preview what the finished product is now going to look like. I can download it as a PDF. I can, which I'll do just very quickly. And actually let me show you what the PDF version looks like. Actually, I'll open it in Adobe Reader so you can see the full environment there. While that's loading on screen, your board members also have the option to view online in real time their board papers whilst they're logged into the BoardEffect platform. Doesn't require any special software like Java or anything like that to work. It's all based on HTML5, just your web browser. Your board members can quickly and easily jump to whatever section they want of the paper, maybe the dashboard report. All of that information is loaded on screen. I might scrub forward a few pages. All the key figures are there, and then they can start using some great annotational tools to place reminders on talking points. They can highlight key bits of information, they can underline, they can strike through. They don't have to put pen to paper. They can do everything in a secure online environment. We've totally eliminated the need for a PDF to reach them via email or for their hard copies to get to them. Now, we're not saying that they can't have a hard copy. Most certainly they can. Once we've made all our annotations, we can actually save them against our user account. So I've locked all the annotations against my own user account. no other board member can see them. If I now want to print directly from this point, I can, or I can close this down, maybe log out of the BoardEffect platform, come back in a day before the meeting, and I can now download my annotated version of the paper and then print out that hard copy, or view it online again. If you have any of your board members attend your meetings remotely via teleconference or web conference, they don't even need to download it as a PDF. They could just have it on their screen if they've got an internet connection. This is what the PDF product looks like, though. Just a very quick example. Obviously, BoardEffect has created a cover page for us automatically. It has also created a very basic looking agenda document. And you can see here this font styling allows you to change the color, the size, bold, italicize. You've got some page references on there. It's a very basic looking agenda, and I need to change the actual size, make this a bit extra smaller so it fits in chairperson there. But it can certainly eliminate the need for you to create an agenda externally in Microsoft Word and then upload that into the platform. If you're happy for BoardEffect to create it for you, you most certainly can. Maybe you want your own agenda document, you can. You could still utilize this auto creation tool and maybe call it a table of contents, so you've got some page reference numbers that your board members can refer to. It kind of acts as an index page. But the really great thing is, all of these agenda categories that you have customized and created in BoardEffect now appear as bookmarks in the finished product. So your board members can quickly and easily jump to whatever section they want of the paper, and then use the very basic annotational tools that are available to them within Adobe Reader, highlight or sticky note, to place all their reminders on talking points, print out their own hard copy if they can, and away they go. So we're not saying your board members cannot have hard copies. We're catering to their preference. If they prefer to have a hard copy, they can now print it out themselves the very second that it's made available to them. And typically the process for you senior managers in the room, you would build your papers in the platform, preview it, download it as a PDF, have a look at it. If you're happy with it, you can then change the visibility. It's currently not visible to individuals of the board of directors workroom. So now I can make it visible to the workroom, and in other words, give them access to it. I can also now attach this meeting book to a particular event. And I can create a new event. I'll maybe just call this board meeting September 2015. We know it occurs at the end of September. Let's have a look. Let's say it starts at 9 a.m. She finishes at 11 a.m. I can put in the other information if I need to. Only the asterisk information indicates mandatory fields. I can give it a description. Welcome to this month's paperless board meeting powered by BoardEffect. And there's some other information, good information you can make available to your board members. Name of the facilitator, email, any website they need to reference. I can categorize the event. I can even add it to what we call the daily digest. It's a nice summary email that BoardEffect can send to your board members once a day, usually about 10 a.m. That gives them a heads up, a notification of any newly added or updated content for their BoardEffect platform. So it eliminates the need for you to manually compose an email or do a call around. It automates and streamlines the communication process. I can click save. If I want to, I can now do something else. I can actually track RSVPs. I can send out a little meeting invite, and you can see we now have a guest list at the bottom of screen. So if you want to invite people to the actual meeting, we can edit the guest list. I can scroll to the bottom and say, okay, I want these board members to be invited to the meeting. I'm not including myself there. And what they will see is they will, when they log into the platform, they'll have the ability to submit their commitment to the upcoming meeting. They can say, yes, they plan to be in attendance, or no, they plan to be absent. You can see there are all of the attendees there and the not yet replied. If I want to request responses, send out an automated email notification to these invitees asking them to respond, I can. So this is a tool I show you briefly to let you know that you can track attendance to all of your meetings in BoardEffect. If you want to pull some good data out of BoardEffect that will help you with your reporting, report on board member attendance, or you use it as a measure of board performance, you most certainly can do that. Let's go back to that draft or that visible book that we just created. It's now sitting as visible. And I'm going to go back in and just attach the meeting book to that meeting, that event that I've just created. There it is there. Click done. Voila. Now watch what happens when your board members log into the BoardEffect platform as, I'm just going to log in as a typical board member account here. This is what they see when they log in. Under My Upcoming Events, it displays for them the September meeting, the invite that they're expected to respond to. No, I can't make it, and any notes as to why I can't make it. But directly from this screen, if they want to go in and view the meeting information, the meeting particulars, the when and the where they can, and synchronize it, save it to their local calendar, they certainly have the ability to do that. But from this landing page, they can select the paperclip, view meeting book, and it takes them directly into the board papers. They don't have to deep dive into their workroom and multiple clicks to get to where they want to go. It's all accessible from the landing page. So now they can view what the agenda topics are. There they are, all they're presented. They can download their PDF version of the paper or view it online and start doing all of their prep work. So that's how easy it is for them to do all of their work. That brings us to the BoardEffect iPad app, which for any of your board members that are always on the go, use iPads as part of their board work, they can really benefit from BoardEffect's mobility. They can download from the App Store the free to download BoardEffect iPad app, which amongst other content, gives them great and quick and easy and secure access to their board papers. So once you send out the email notification letting them know that their papers are available to be accessed, they can download it to the iPad app for offline viewing and then start to do all of their prep work well and truly in advance of the meeting. They can highlight all the same annotations you saw before, place sticky notes for reminders on talking points, highlight, underline, strike through, and action items, even use their finger as a stylus and draw on screen. So it really makes their life a lot easier, particularly if they're always on the go. And let me show you a very brief introduction to what life would look like for your board members that do use iPads. This is just some past date dummy content that you can look at for context, see how easily they can access their information. So your board members have access to all of this great information via the iPad app. If they want to view any news and announcements that are relevant for their workrooms they've been assigned to, they can. They can download committee meeting books or board papers and view them offline and annotate them offline. They can view and save calendar information, retrieve contact details for other board members in their directory, respond to meeting invites, cast votes, respond to those polls, access historical content in the resource library, and if you've got a board orientation manual or an induction manual, they can access that information as well. But I'm going to show you a past date example of a meeting book, just a January example for demonstration purposes. If I'm a member of the AFR committee, it makes sense that I have access to papers for that workroom as well. If I'm not on the governance committee or the executive or the leadership committee, I don't. It makes sense. I don't have access to those papers, so I only have access to content that I'm privy to. If we look at the January materials, I'm presented with the meeting particulars, the when and the where on screen. I'm given an indication as to the file size of the meeting, so I can now download that meeting book for offline viewing. And if you as a senior manager, there is an 11th hour document or report that you need to add to the papers and update your meeting materials, you can in BoardEffect. You can simply add that new document, send another email from BoardEffect to them just documenting that there is an updated version of the paper available to them. And then when they come to the iPad app, they will see this little update icon appear for them. That's a visual trigger, a visual prompt for them that there's an updated version of the paper available for them to download. So once they've downloaded it, they can view the papers offline, cover page, scrolling vertically to the next page with your finger will take you to the agenda document. Board members can take the navigation one step simpler, scrub forward a page or backward a page or to a particular page reference, so everyone literally is on the same page. But the navigation doesn't rest there. It makes it even easier for board members to access the information they need. We can pull out this sidebar navigation, which serves as the outline, very similar to the bookmarks you saw in the PDF version or the online version. Here are the agenda categories and here are the documents that have been uploaded. So I can jump directly to the dashboard report, maybe punch that sidebar back in, scrub forward one or two pages. All of the key information is now on screen, so I can now use a great selection of annotational tools at the bottom left of the screen to freeform highlight information, strike through on action items, place personalized bookmarks, draw on screen, place additional commentary, and if I need to quickly and easily jump between annotations, I can do that by pulling out this sidebar navigation again, moving from the outline to an annotational index, and you can see I've now got a nice little audit trail for all of the annotations I've made. So it makes sense to lay some additional notes or commentary against each mark or highlight, draw mark, whatever it might be, so that your board members have a greater frame of reference as to why that's an important topic to discuss, and they've got a visual prompt as to what it relates to. If you don't add any descriptions against an annotation mark, it's very hard to identify what it relates to. So I can go back into a particular annotation. Maybe I'll punch that sidebar back in, zoom in, and there's the talking point on screen. I now know what it relates to and what my discussion point is in the meeting. The meeting book is fully keyword searchable as well. So if we pull out that sidebar navigation again, I can move away from that annotational tab to a search tab, type in any word or phrase, and it will search throughout every set of documents in the board paper, whether it's 42 pages long or 200 pages long, and tell me where that word financial appears and how many times it appears, the results. It will also search where that word appears in your notes, any of the notes of your annotation. So board members can use the search functionality to quick and easily jump back and forth between annotations. If I want to go to this item on page 4, you can see it tells me exactly where that word is appearing on the page. So it makes life a lot easier for your board members to quickly and easily access the information they need. And if for whatever reason your board members won't have the ability to take their iPad into the board meeting, there's nothing stopping them printing wirelessly if you've got Apple AirPrint enabled for your iPad, or maybe you just want to email, export an annotated version of your paper, or a modifiable version or a non-modifiable version, the original paper itself, or simply a summary of the annotations that you've made. You can certainly do that. And depending on your file retention practices and policies, your board members can delete their papers manually themselves. That's possible, or there is a remote wipe capability built into the BoardEffect platform so that you as a senior manager or your support staff can remotely wipe downloaded papers and board member annotations from the iPad. The reason for that: annotations, discoverable content. Obviously, if you get subpoenaed, your annotations go with all the other content that gets requested as well. So if you want that remote wipe capability, you've got that functionality built into the platform. That's just a very quick overview of what life looks like via the iPad app. The good news is that any of your board members that use Android tablets, there is an Android tablet app coming in mid to late October, so it's not far away. Windows Surface tablet users would simply need to log into BoardEffect via their preferred web browser. So that kind of shows you the different ways, how easy it is. Hopefully you've seen how easy it is to compile and create your board papers in a board management platform like BoardEffect, and the quick and easy and secure modes of access that your board members have to accessing that information. They've got that secure access to that timely information the very second that you create it. They don't need to wait for that email or hard copy to get to them. It's accessible the very second you create it. So on that note, let's open up the floor for any questions that you have. We've got a couple of minutes remaining here, so I want to give you guys in the room an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. One question has come through from Lisa. Let me just expand on your question there, Lisa, so I can see what it relates to here. Yes, there was a question. When you right-clicked on the agenda item, there was an option labeled security. Thanks for asking that question, Lisa. So what you can do with your meeting books in BoardEffect, much like you can do in the Browse Files area, the resource library, where you can restrict access to certain content, you can certainly also do that with respect to your meeting books. So if I go back into this September book that I've created, just go back into an edit environment. Let me just move my out of the way there, my dock. What we can do is we can restrict access to certain elements of the meeting book. So perhaps you've got a special guest attending your board meeting and you want them to have the ability to download their own personalized version of the papers, but you want to restrict access to it. We can say, okay, I only want these board members to be privy to the financial reporting section of the board paper. Everyone else that everyone else that's not included in that secured list will not have access, will not see the financial reports. So you can pick and choose what you want, what content you want them to be privy to. Setting user permissions is probably a story for another day, but in your directory, this is a follow-up question from Lisa, you've got the ability to, I can view a user's profile, and I can also set their permissions. Administrators have the ability to adjust system-wide settings, as well as what settings they want that individual to have for the workroom that they've been assigned to. Do I want this user to be able to access the meeting books? If yes, tick it. If no, etc. Do I want this user to have the ability to create content in this workroom? If yes, tick it. If no, deselect it. So administrators have ability to quickly and easily set up user permissions and determine who has what administrative permissions in the BoardEffect platform. A couple other questions have come through, so if you are in the process of submitting your questions, please do. If we don't have time to address all of them now, I'll certainly respond to you guys personally. I just show these success stories on screen for you while we work through some of the final questions that have come through, so you can kind of get a feel for some of the milestones and success stories some of our Australian users are, what they're benefiting from, how they're using BoardEffect. One question came through, how quickly can I get BoardEffect up and running for my board? Liking the enthusiasm there. The entire implementation process on average takes around about 4 to 6 weeks. We've certainly had some clients that have proceeded much faster and others that have needed more time, again, depending on the workload of the senior managers or the support staff, or even how frequently your board meets. The implementation process typically includes, what it includes is activation of your platform, training for your top level administrators, followed by rollout to your board. We deliver a brief online orientation session for your board, so they're off and running from day one. And then Matrix on board, because we are we deliver as a locally supported solution, we then check in on our users from time to time, check in on their progress, make sure everything's going smoothly. Users also have 24/7 access to a number of quick start guides and training videos via the platform as well. And most importantly, Matrix offers local help desk support during normal business hours, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. You can get on the phone to us or shoot us an email if you've got any issues that you need to work through. That's above and beyond the 24/7, 365 that BoardEffect in the United States offer anyway. But we're on the ground to assist you if need be. Doesn't look like there have been any other questions that have come through. So what I would encourage you to do, if you've kind of liked what you've seen in today's discussions and demonstrations, and you think BoardEffect holds potential for your board, there are a number of next steps that you can consider. You can certainly take a look at our website and see who else is using BoardEffect. There's a lot of good other information on there on the board management platform and how it can help your board operate in those 3 modes of governance that we talked about. If you'd like to take a bit more of a comprehensive online tour and discover some of the other key features and functionality that can help facilitate discussion and foster greater collaboration amongst your board members in between meetings, you're certainly welcome to reserve a brief 30 to 45-minute online tour, and we can set that up for you. You can request pricing information if you want to look at specific pricing for your nonprofit, or you're certainly welcome to take BoardEffect for a test drive, assess its best fit potential for your board via a free 30-day trial. So certainly plenty of options for you if you want to consider what the next steps are, what the right next steps are for you. I don't think we have any other questions. Aaron has asked a question. I might park that question and respond to you on that one, Aaron, regarding a sub company. Can that committee have a separate admin account? There's no restriction as how many administrators you can have in the BoardEffect platform, and there's no restriction as to how many committee workrooms that you can create. So if you wanted to, create a sub company, you certainly could, or a workroom specifically for the sub company in your platform, you could. Can you preset templates and styles so you don't have to set them each and every time? Absolutely, you can. I showed you an example today of kind of customizing the cover page and the agenda settings from scratch, and then using the preset agenda categories, but you can certainly preset all of your cover page and agenda settings. So thank you, Lisa, for that question, and I'll expand on that one in some comms with you outside of this session. So for the rest of you, looks like there aren't any other questions that have come through. Certainly, please don't hesitate to get in touch. However, if you do have any other questions, I'd be happy to have a discussion with you outside of this presentation. But for now, that brings us just 2 minutes shy of 11:30. So I thank you all. That brings us to the end of today's webinar. I really thank you all for taking the time out of your morning to attend. Most importantly, I hope that you have found value in the content, the things that we've talked about. And most importantly, you're thinking about ways in which board management software might not just be BoardEffect, you might have other solutions that you're looking at, can not only promote good governance, but also create those massive efficiencies from top to bottom, whether it be at your board member level, for you as senior managers in the room, your committees, your support staff, even your staff, if you want to extend the use of BoardEffect to working groups for your staff or external stakeholder groups, you certainly can. But I hope you've walked away from this session today thinking now how you can use technology for that quick and easy creation and delivery of timely information. So one final quick reminder, I would certainly encourage you, if you've got a few minutes, to take our brief online survey following this webinar. We'd love to get your feedback. We're always looking at ways that we can improve our content, and we will certainly make sure that a recording of this webinar is made available to you tomorrow, around about this time tomorrow, via email. So I thank you all again for attending today's webinar, and I hope you do all enjoy the rest of your morning. Many thanks.